Donald Trump Jr., the first son, embroiled in controversy tonight over a meeting he took with a Russian lawyer during his father's presidential campaign. Don Jr. has fervently denied any connection or collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russian government. But do his newly released emails suggest otherwise? Here's ABC's David Wright.
Tonight, the president's eldest son put himself at the center of the story that's become a national political obsession: Russian meddling in the 2016 election and possible collusion by Trump associates. Donald Trump Jr. released a series of emails from June of last year. The sender dangles the prospect of juicy secrets, official documents and information that would incriminate Hillary and her dealings with Russia and would be very useful to your father, also cautioning this is obviously very high-level and sensitive information, but is part of Russia and its government's support for Mr. Trump. The president's son told Fox News tonight,
I can't help what someone sends me. You know, I read it, I responded accordingly, and if there was something interesting there, I think it's pretty common.
The emails reveal Don Jr. leapt at the offer. If it's what you say, I love it, especially for later in the summer. He forwarded the chain under the heading Russia, Clinton, Private and Confidential to Jared Kushner and then campaign chair Paul Manafort and set up a meeting. Until today, Trump Jr. claimed Kushner and Manafort were unaware what the meeting was about. But the emails show they were told what he knew going in.
In retrospect, I probably would have done things a little differently. Again, this is before the Russia mania. This is before they were building it up in the press. For me, this was opposition research. They had something, you know, maybe concrete evidence to all the stories I'd been hearing about, but they were probably underreported for, you know, years, not just during the campaign. So I think I wanted to hear it out, but really, it went nowhere.
Trump Jr. insists he did not tell his father about the emails. Having just secured the nomination, candidate Trump was in Redding, California that day.
Wouldn't it be nice if we actually got along with Russia? Wouldn't that be good? I mean, is that a bad thing?
Whooping up the crowd by praising Vladimir Putin and trash-talking the last remaining opponent between him and the White House.
I think Hillary is very weak. I think she's pathetic. She should be in jail for what she did with those emails.
Trump Jr. says he's releasing the emails now because he has nothing to hide, in order to be totally transparent. But the New York Times points out he did so only after they told him they were getting ready to publish the emails themselves. The meeting ultimately took place the week after that email exchange began, June 9th, 2016, at Trump Tower. Trump Jr., Kushner, and Manafort all there. They met with this woman, an attorney named Natalia Veselnitskaya, allegedly well-connected with the Kremlin, a familiar figure in Washington lobbying against Russian sanctions, seen here at a congressional hearing last June, days after that meeting with Don Jr. Tonight in Moscow, she denied that she ever had any damaging or sensitive information about Hillary Clinton and claimed the meeting was not for that purpose. She says Kushner left after just a couple of minutes and Manafort spent the whole time on his phone. Her denial squares with Don Jr.'s account. The woman, he writes, was not a government official, and as we have said, she had no information to provide and wanted to talk about adoption policy and the Magnitsky Act.
If what you're trying to do is essentially a Russian intelligence operation to assist an American political campaign, the last thing you do is send an obviously visible, attributable Russian representative into the headquarters of that campaign.
So the president's critics are already seizing on this and saying, aha, but Dan Abrams, is this the smoking gun?
Well, it's not going to be the smoking gun for the larger investigation that Robert Mueller is doing. But the question of, is this criminal with regard to Donald Trump Jr., there's a strong argument to be made that this is a technical violation of campaign finance law.
Campaign finance law prohibits political campaigns from accepting anything of value from a foreign entity, and political dirt could be seen as valuable.
I don't believe that agreeing to the meeting per se is a violation. Assuming that there was something of value that was passed to the campaign, then there could be a financial penalty.
The cast of characters in this Russian election saga is already more complicated than a Tolstoy novel. And today, joining the generals and the commissars and the privileged princes, some unusual new characters in the beauty pageant world.
Right. And of course, the big man on campus, Donald Trump.
And the Russian pop music scene. That first email to Don Jr. came from a British tabloid journalist and record executive, Rob Goldstone, who name-dropped some powerful Russian contacts. His client, Eamon Agalarov, a Russian pop star, whose dad is Aris Agalarov, a top Russian real estate mogul.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Moscow.
Aris co-sponsored the Miss Universe pageant in Moscow with Trump Sr. Vladimir Putin gave Aris Russia's Medal of Honor, and both father and son spent time with Trump at the pageant. Trump even did a cameo in one of Eamon's music videos.
Come on, what's wrong with you?
Eamon Agalarov's lawyer told ABC News they understood the meeting was to discuss sanctions, not Hillary or her campaign. Today's emails, at the very least, call into question all those denials from Team Trump.
Are there any ties between Mr. Trump, you, or your campaign, and Putin and his regime?
No, there are not. It's absurd, and there's no basis to it.
Did anyone involved in the Trump campaign have any contact with Russians?
Absolutely not, and I discussed that with the president-elect just last night.
I have nothing to do with Russia. To the best of my knowledge, no person that I deal with does.
Donald Trump Jr., among his father's most vociferous defenders, has steadfastly dismissed suggestions that the Trump campaign had anything to do with Russian meddling.
It's disgusting. It's so phony. I can't think of bigger lies, but that exactly goes to show you what the DNC and what the Clinton camp will do. They will lie and do anything to win.
He said that just 2 weeks after holding that meeting in Trump Tower. The president himself tonight promoted his son's appearance on Fox News, tweeting, "He is a great person who loves our country."
I am told behind closed doors here at the White House, the president is furious that he has been fuming at his aides, frustrated that the Russia story simply won't go away.
Today on Capitol Hill.
These emails are sending shockwaves through these hallways. Democrats I've talked with say no question, this is a game changer.
Donald Trump Jr. was openly salivating about the prospect of getting damaging information from the Russians. It is certainly evidence of collusion.
Hillary Clinton's former running mate took an especially sharp view.
This is moving into perjury, false statements, and even into potentially treason.
At least one Republican I've talked with is coming to the defense of the administration.
It's way too early to reach conclusions based on these emails.
If you're offered assistance from a foreign government in your campaign, the only answer is no. So I'm not going to condemn the guy on an email, but this is something that's the most problematic thing I've seen thus far.
There is one thing that both sides of the aisle here seem to agree on. They want to hear from Donald Trump Jr. here on Capitol Hill, and soon.
So the optics are important here, not just for political purposes, but also legally.
In the big scheme of the law, is pretty minor. It would mean fines. The bigger picture issue for them is, does this become a critical piece in the bigger puzzle that Robert Mueller is potentially putting together?
Lawyers say there could be some jeopardy for Jared Kushner, who had previously not disclosed the meeting with the Russian lawyer. Trump Jr. told Fox tonight that in the end, that meeting in Trump Tower turned up nothing of value.
I mean, I wouldn't have even remembered it until you start scouring through the stuff. It was literally just a wasted 20 minutes, which was a shame.
But Trump's critics and his inquisitors are unlikely to let them forget this. They now have a lot more questions. I'm David Wright for Nightline in New York.